I'm sure you don't want to add that on and also add on a lot of 10, 20 hours of work in addition. Like you want to do it with a lot of leverage so that, let's say, adding the business coaching adds another like 50K a month in profit,
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
but only takes, let's say, 5 to 7 hours a week on top of what you're doing right now.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
And then you can figure out what the ideal balance is going to be. So I think instead of positioning it as business coaching, I think you should position it as either mentorship or business mentorship.
Love it.
And the big difference is that when people come for coaching, a lot of times they don't know this necessarily, but they're coming for a system. They're like, tell me like what to do and I will do it. Of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff that like gets in the way.
Yeah.
Mentorship is here's how I did it, and like you looking at what they're doing and tweaking it and making it more effective. So it takes a lot less energy from you versus like take an example, right? You take someone who just got out of FDN, super green, they don't know shit about shit.
Yeah.
You gotta start at the very beginning. It's much harder to get them results because they don't have, they may not have an email list, they may not have much of an audience, they may not even have a niche, right?
Exactly.
They're like a generic FDN or health coach,
Mhm.
and the amount of energy needed to get them to a result is very high.
Yeah.
So the first thing is positioning it as mentorship, business mentorship from someone who is where you want to be and who's built the kind of business you want to build. And I would use your story of retiring Dimitri
Mm.
and supporting your family as the core brand story as to why you are now going to take on a few mentorship clients because you want to help more women or health coaches, however you want to slice your market, be financially free doing what they love and actually not just help others, but nourish their own families. And then the third piece is because of how we are framing it, I would focus on people who are already in motion. So someone who's already doing,
They have an Instagram account. They've got a few clients. Exactly right.
let me ask you this first. What do they need to have in place where it can be just add water for you?
They're doing one-on-one clients.
Okay.
One-on-one clients. They know their niche, their avatar already, and they have a social media presence and an email list, right? Like they are established, they're doing the thing,
Yeah.
but they're not even really at 10K months, or at least not consistent because they just can't be consistent. They're
Yeah.
following, they're like, oh, let me do a passive course. Oh, let me
Yeah.
do that. They're a little bit too all over the place. So my
Yes.
current client is literally that, and she is a dream come true. Everything I
Yeah.
say to her, she just goes and does it.
Yeah.
She's so focused, she's so grateful, she's getting results.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Like we're in probably month 4 together. She's hitting a 10K month and
Great.
she is doing this part-time. She's working
Great.
like at a gym. That is,
Beautiful.
I think, the person that's such a great question that I could just add water. I could just say, here's what I'm
Beautiful.
doing. You try it.
Beautiful. So
Love it.
that's going to be our nucleus
Love it.
for the archetype. What's missing in her life? What is she working with you to get to? Does she think in money or is it like, I want to go from one-on-one to group or like, what's the orientation principle?
That's a great question. So at least the ones that I've done so far, her and another one that have been great,
Yeah.
it's been that they want to leave their job. They want to make this full time because
Beautiful.
even though they have an Instagram account, they know they can get maybe a couple clients here and there. It's just not a
Consistent,
business.
predictable. Okay.
Exactly. It's not
So, you,
consistent, predictable.
so your promise is make a full-time income with your nutrition practice or business or however you, whatever the term is.
I love that.
right? And here's why I'm steering you in this direction away from, so deliberately, I want to steer you away from saying 10K.
Thank you. Because I don't think it resonates 100%.
But
Yeah.
there's a bigger problem. The bigger problem is that the people who are doing 11K will think they don't need you. They'll
Yeah.
rule this out, but they actually do need you. The people doing 9K or 8K will say, oh, I'm almost at 10K, so this doesn't apply to me. If we remove the number, you actually also get a higher quality. Like when I market to revenue numbers, I've been doing a lot of experimentation. It attracts people who are focused on that. But when you focus on a scenario, like make a full-time income with your whatever, whatever, you're speaking to a much wider segment of the market who's going to find your offer appealing and applicable.
Wow.
And what's going to happen is that they're going to self-identify into the scenario as it looks like for them. So for one person, full-time income would be 15K. For someone else, it could be 12K. For someone else, it would be 18K. So for us to scale as efficiently as possible, we want to do the minimum amount of stuff to appeal to the maximum number of best fit clients.
Wow.
So when we market based on scenario versus a number, it changes the dynamics because we're now able to speak to all those people without necessarily saying get to 8K, get to 10K, get to 12K, because that number is going to be slightly different for different people. Mentorship for nutrition people who want to generate a full-time income, their main issue is that they're relying on referrals. It's very inconsistent. They may have or be considering getting a job to support themselves. Doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
They want to do this full time. This is what they want. The other benefit of positioning it as mentorship
Mhm.
is that you don't necessarily need a big curriculum already built. How much you want to make from this additionally?
So I would love an additional 25K right now
Yeah.
from this, but absolutely would love to scale it up to 50K. Like that would be incredible.
So you need 16 people basically to hit 25. Yeah, to hit 25K, you need 16 people at
Mhm.
that number. And it might be less if some are on payment plans.
Yeah,
So,
that's gonna be about 15 people
so
to get
yeah.
started up.
So like 15 people. And right now, are you thinking of doing bi-weekly calls?
Yeah. June budget.
Great.
And then they
So,
have a WhatsApp access to me to let me know how things are going.
great. So the bi-weekly calls are those like an hour each.
Yep.
So that's 30 hours a month. So that's divided by four. That's 7, 8 hours, let's say, of calls a week on top. How does that feel for you?
At the moment,
Yeah.
it's a little more than it needs to be. I would say 5 hours is my cap right now a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little disconnect there.
Okay. So this is exactly why I created my current model
Yeah.
because this is literally the exact situation that I was in where I was like, you know, if I add more clients, it adds more work
Yeah.
and it adds more hours. And I don't like packed calendars and being busy. So I don't want to, you know, because when you take money, you're actually adding debt because you pay off that debt by spending time with them.
Exactly. And my to-do list on the other side.
Yeah.
So luckily, so I have a group program
Hmm.
and I still do some group calls because there's some one-on-one and
Yeah.
personalization in it. And I'm doing sales calls.
Yeah. So here's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you my model,
Yeah.
and I think it could be really easy for you to. So basically, the core idea is that instead of adding new people as one-on-ones,
Mhm.
you add them in a group,
Hmm.
right? So let's see.
Do you call yourself a mentor or a coach?
Like, I struggle with all the labels, honestly. Yeah, it depends on the audience. So I have a lot of one-on-ones who are building other kinds of businesses.
Yeah.
Like I have people running like a 6 million a year PR agency. I have a 30 million a year company in the pet space. I have 10 million a year tech startups.
Wow.
And then I have this accelerator, which is
Yeah.
all people in building our kind of businesses.
Love it.
So it's a compound situation.
Yeah.
So I guess so the way I think about it is that I put on the hat that's most relevant
For
to
that
the
person.
person in front of me.
Yeah. I love that.
So this is the accelerator, right? This would be whatever your business mentorship program, whatever you call it. So that's the equivalent.
Love it.
And then classroom, basically, I have all of these courses. Most of these I basically created as a standalone workshop.
Mhm.
So I started with a couple of programs that I had already built, but like the meat of the system I built as I went along.
Mhm.
So, for example, this one is all about creating what I call a dynamic offer that can be sold without sales
That's
calls.
what you were talking about in the webinar. Yes.
Right.
Perfect.
So that leads to this product. And then here, this basically allows someone to, one of the core things that I'm doing is helping people build recurring revenue that's more consistent and predictable and doing it without sales calls. So I'll get to that in a second. So then I have basically most of the curriculum. Um, it'll never be done in some ways because I keep thinking of new stuff to like create, but I'll teach workshops
Mhm.
and that basically instant the base curriculum for the program.
Perfect.
And then usually, I don't think I've
So you're,
skipped.
okay, so you're doing bi-weekly Q&As?
I promise bi-weekly,
Yep.
but if you notice,
You're doing more.
every other week there's a bonus call.
Love that.
So I don't like being locked into any weekly commitment.
Great.
So I don't promise that. So no one's coming in expecting a weekly call, but they get it anyway. So basically, if you look, even if I do this call once a week, that caps my time. And I'm not doing sales calls.
That
You,
you're gonna have to talk to me about.
yeah, so you
I have
can,
not been able to get away from that. I never can get away from it. I've
I- I'll,
tried.
I'll show you how.
Okay.
You still can do sales calls, particularly in the beginning, just to get to know the market if you want.
Yeah.
But the goal is to always get off sales calls
Great.
because then basically in a week, you're getting on this call,
Mhm.
you're creating whatever content you want to
Mhm.
create, you're responding to people on WhatsApp.
Mhm.
That's about it. It's
That is
super,
freedom. That
yeah.
love it.
So that's the whole idea, right? Because if we approach it the one-on-one way, another 8 hours, and it's not just 8 hours because that's 8 hours plus the sales calls. And with sales calls, it's not one-to-one because more calls get booked than the people who actually enroll. It's challenging because to add 5 clients, you may need to be on like 10, 15 hours of calls.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what's going on with the nutrition side, where it's like for my market, there's just like a lot of distrust. They've been through a lot with
Yeah.
autoimmune. They're investing in functional medicine.
Yeah.
They're tens of thousands of dollars in deep.
Yeah.
Why am I different?
Yeah. Totally.
And so there's a lot of no trust. I've been around a while. They've got my cookbook. They've been
Yeah.
following me. They've done my workshop. And so there's definitely, it's very warm who I'm
Yeah.
speaking to,
Yeah.
but they just got to make sure. And it's health, right? It's
Totally.
like consultation. It's like talking to a doctor for the first time.
Yeah.
You just want to meet the person.
Right.
So for me, I've just not been able to step away from that. But with the business side, it feels way more dual. It'll be like, yeah, let's just like walkie-talkie back and forth on
Yeah.
Instagram or whatever. That feels a lot easier.
So the key, so now I'm going to tell you how to get rid of sales calls.
Okay.
The key to getting rid of sales calls is to one, have a really clear offer. So for the accelerator, I'm very, very clear what they get. Like, we're building a lean, efficient, profitable business that they can really enjoy that takes less than 20 hours a week. And I'm being generous here to account for, I have people in the accelerator doing 120K a month, people doing 20K a month. So I'm accounting for all, and I don't want to over promise.
Yeah.
But basically, it's for the person who knows that they have more juice in them. And the goal is to get to 100K a month, working less than 20 hours a week, right? And then I lay out exactly what pieces get installed. So first is the dynamic offer, which allows us to sell without calls and without launches and funnels. Like, we don't do launches. So the first thing we do is turn what the person's doing is the traditional way of selling, and we turn it into a dynamic offer, and then we validate it with at least 3 clients. That gives us, okay, we're on the right track. And then we install client converters to basically turn leads that someone already has into customers and customers into clients. And that basically is a system that runs every month. And every month we get more people coming into the core offer, which is, for me, the accelerator. For you, it'll be, do you know what you want to call it?
I was thinking of calling an incubator similar, right? Like
Perfect.
some kind of an accelerator.
Perfect. The nutrition business incubator or something.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is the automated customer engine. So this is the thing that you saw. This is basically a system that gets us new leads, turns some of them into customers, and then gives some of those customers an opportunity to become a client. So while I was gone, I made $1,000 without, when I opened my phone again, like 4 days later, because a bunch of people had seen the ad, watched that 20-minute training, and then bought offer architecture, right? And so I, in gruesome detail, because I'm outlining everything that's going to happen that they get, there's a certain style of writing this offer. And that basically eliminates all of the questions and the uncertainty that someone would have, right? Because at that point, that's typically what happens on a sales call. Is it like, hey, what will we do together? Like, how are you going to help me? How do I know it'll work for me? Like, there's a lot of uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
If we can reduce that uncertainty into certainty and flatten it, then it makes it very easy for them to say yes or no.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is the pricing model. So what we do here is we do weekly pricing. That's what we lead with. So the accelerator is $300 a week.
Oh, I like that.
I sell the way I like to buy. So I don't like being locked in. So people can leave anytime. And I don't do guarantees, promises, refunds, because it's on a weekly cadence, right? And they get a bunch of other stuff. And when let me see if I can find this.
How's your renewal rate?
Probably like 99,
That's incredible.
95%. Because one of the reasons why I am doing this is because I realized that I have people who stay with me for years.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, interesting. If I make it easy for someone to get started, generally that is going to take care of things. So they can pay in full, which is what they see for the first time when they go to check out,
Yeah.
right? And they can work with me one-on-one. So one-on-one is $1,250 a
Oh,
week.
that's great. So you have like a VIP option.
Exactly. But I lead with the cheapest one,
Yeah, that's so smart.
right? And so when they're ready and they say that they're in, I just send them this link and they join,
Perfect.
which allows them to also book a one-on-one kickoff call.
Love it.
So the whole model is that, so that offer architecture training basically goes through this.
Right.
And I give like a template to create this offer and
Mhm.
examples and all that stuff. And dude, honestly, like that's what I would do if I was you, because you can imagine serving like 30 women
Yeah.
in that incubator, right? So calculator, let's see what that ends up being. 30 women, and let's say it's still the 1,500 a month, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we break that into weeklies, or you don't even have, you could even start by like advertising it as 1,500 a month, right? Or you can break it down to weeklies, whatever feels good for you. But
Yeah.
30 times 1,500 is 45,000. Imagine doing the 45,000 without sales calls,
Exactly.
without, 15 hours extra a week, or
Way
15 to
more
20
valuable.
hours, right? And it just bolts on to your business as another revenue stream.
I love that.
That's, I think, what could be really game changing, because I mean, you'd probably only be working an extra 5, 6 hours a week.
And that's what's wild, and to have that impact, because
Yeah.
that's this. I'm a generator. Are you into human design?
I'm a generator too.
So I just find sometimes that I'll get stuck in the doing, do more output when it's like trading time for money, even though it's like, how many years have I been at this? I've got the group program, but I'll still be
Yeah.
like, oh, do this workshop or do, and
Yeah.
I still have to just rein myself in of stop. I have small kids. And then I'll get frustrated if my daughter gets sick and is out for a week.
Yeah.
It's talk about a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
So that's when I get frustrated myself of like, I still haven't figured this out. Why am I in sales calls? Why am I this? Why am I that? And so this is where even your offer architect video, I'm like, you hit the nail on the head when you hit the problem points
Yeah.
of the time freedom. It's not just so I can say I'm going to go to the gym. It's because it is life or death over here. I need more time.
Totally.
So
Totally.
yeah, love it.
Yeah, that I realized at some point that working more wasn't gonna get me to how I want to feel.
It's been beat into me at this point.
Like even if
It
it
really
meant
has.
making way more money,
Yeah,
like I was like, how do I increase income without increasing energy expenditure?
exactly.
Because
Very smart.
life's too short. Like you want,
And then
like,
we're in the rat race again that
right,
we left.
totally,
That's what I've noticed. I'm like a worse boss than like any of my
totally.
startup bosses, any of that. And I need to chill. So it's very much the stubborn Taurus. Sometimes I need the
Yeah,
lesson a few times,
yeah,
but I've definitely gotten the message over the
yeah.
past year and a half, I would say. And I love this. I think with the business coaching, it's gonna be so much easier for me to flex these muscles.
Yes, yes,
Thank you. This is
absolutely.
great advice. Such great advice.
Yeah, cosmic timing, like even
I know. Well,
reconnecting, like,
I saw because I've been getting your emails. One of them gripped me,
hmm,
and I was like, "Oh, I definitely want to see his video." So I watched it, and it was just like seriously, no notes. Like you just did it perfect. And I was like, I can't. I got to talk to him. I can't wait to reach out to him. We've got to reconnect. All these things, and I knew it. It was just bubbling up where I'm like, I know this is what I care more about. These are the things that I'm watching these for a
yeah,
while now. I'm noticing the pull.
yeah,
So I'm just shedding any limiting beliefs, any BS, and
yeah,
I'm seeing so many ways that it's okay. I can have fun exploring ways to exactly what you said as I gear up more of the business coaching, do a
yeah,
little bit less on the nutrition side. I've got some support there and I have
yeah,
some other things that I can play with. I'm playing with
right,
even self-paced version of my group class,
yeah,
my group program. I'm
yeah,
gonna play with that. So that's what's going on.
yeah. You can put that whole thing on autopilot.
Yes. I
It,
do feel like I'm at a place where I can start doing that 100%. I needed to be messy with it a little bit more
yeah.
before, but
Like
yeah.
you can install an automated customer engine in front of that,
Yeah.
where there's a quick free training that leads to a paid product, and I think you can use your one of the things you already have,
Yeah. I
and
have so
then
much on.
it
Like
leads
I
to
have
the,
so much I can sell.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
just sometimes sit on it because I'm like, go for the 3K program, 3K, my high ticket. Because
Right.
to your point, it's I've only got so much energy. So obviously
Yeah.
I've just been going for high ticket.
Right.
But there's been shifts in the market. There have definitely been
For
some shifts
sure.
in the market. And so I need to just be able to say $40 meal plan,
Yeah.
$50 class. I've got a bunch of stuff. So I love that. And I love the model that you're doing. I'm just seeing that model works
Yeah.
so well to have, okay, here's my vault, here's my library, my
Right.
curriculum, and you can have a certain level of access to me.
Yeah. And then
Perfect.
on calls, you just help them. Like I have
Right.
people who are at different stages
Right.
in on this journey. So some, when they come in, it's, hey, let's focus on getting your offer together. Then it's, hey, let's cash flow that. Let's launch it to your list and your network, validate it and get the initial, use it to build that community.
Mhm.
And now
Totally.
it's going, and now adding more people to it is super easy.
I love that.
And it can just be also like the what I love about this is that this is very inspired by nature. Like nature is the ultimate teacher because in nature, things grow at their own speed, right? And the limiting reagent in nature is that the conditions must be present, but we can't do more work and make the tree go faster.
100%. I think I heard something, no one's yelling at a plant to grow.
Right,
Like you
right.
can't do that.
Can't do
It's
that.
gonna grow at its own pace. Yes.
But so when we grow business from that energy, it's extremely corrosive and it's counterproductive because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, we put a lot of pressure on the business, and things are designed to grow at a certain speed. Everything has a certain speed in nature. And different plants grow at different speeds, and how much sunlight they get and how much water and phosphorus and nitrogen they get impacts that. But the best we can do is create the right conditions. So in this model, it's let's create the right conditions and let's put the infrastructure in place. And then the growth becomes organic. And women understand this more intuitively because they have cycles that correspond to the moon. Men typically don't because their cycles are ultradian and 24 hours
Exactly.
in nature. So it's easy to disconnect from that.
Yes.
But this was an ayahuasca breakthrough, but the ultimate way to recalibrate to health and well-being for us as human beings is to resync ourselves to our cycles.
Yes.
When
Agree.
we're synced to our cycles, the body has a clock, and the clock determines how a whole host of things work.
Your biology instead
Right.
of, yeah.
So when we build that into the business, if you want to take a week off and not post anything, not do anything, you can do that. But because we've installed an MRR machine, it's pretty steady, it's pretty consistent, it's pretty predictable. And so there isn't this, okay, it's October now and I have to go hunt for new clients
That's me.
again.
That's me. Like I get caught up, like I've got a number and I've got to
Yeah.
hit it. And it's just at this much bigger scale. But luckily
Yeah.
I have some other passive products that absolutely, when there's times where I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to show up, like I'm gonna do a flash sale or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But it's not as eloquent as what you've got at all. I love the funnel that you have. I
Yeah.
love the MRR stuff. I'm probably gonna need to learn more from
Yeah.
you 100%.
Totally.
Because that's exactly what I want. Exactly what I want.
Yeah, and so much of why you've operated in that way is because of the model that you were taught, right? Because when we start, we want someone to be like, okay, I don't know how to do this. How are you doing it? And then people learn from other people, and then that model gets replicated across the industry. And that's how we end up with this whole culture around discovery calls and sales calls and VSL funnels and this and that.
Oh my God,
But
yeah, and I tried VSL. It's like I've played with some of these things before. And like I've tried VSLs, like I've tried some of these things. It just,
yeah,
I find myself too much sometimes in fight or flight, but I still have to show up over here. So
yeah,
to be fair, it's like, did I give it enough of a try? Did I
yeah,
optimize it? Did I tweak it? I tried some ads about a couple years ago. I
yeah,
tried some things and then I was getting on the call with cold
yeah,
people. He's new
yeah.
to me. I'd never done
Right.
that before. Very different conversion rate.
Totally.
With warm, I could be having like a 70% conversion rate.
Yeah.
Great, 50%,
Yeah.
50 to 70. Cold, oh, I got my ass handed to me. I
Yeah.
definitely had to learn some lessons. So it's just been like taking this, yeah, messy imperfect action, but also ultimately still feeling to my core, no, I have to show up live
Yeah.
on these calls, trade my time for money,
Yeah.
even still. And I was just half-ass trying some of the
Yeah.
other things. But you're right. You're 100% right. But it's the way it's got to go.
It's just so much. It's a totally different world. Like I remember when I was, grinding out. For me, 40-hour weeks felt like a grind.
Yeah.
But uh, uh, so I don't know if you ever got the vid, but that shit demolished my energy levels. Like I had 1, maybe 2 hours of juice left in me to work for a while.
Oh, COVID.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
So it was sometimes it's necessity, sometimes but I mean, I feel super grateful now that there is a way to, like, it feels more in harmony with nature and with my own body.
I love that. It's more alignment. I've
Yeah.
been coming to the same thing. And now I can't believe sometimes how many times I need the lesson, but you're right. I've been coming to that same thing of I am going to start cycle syncing. I am going to start doing these things because I feel like I needed to be disconnected from it for a while to
Yeah.
feel reconnected to it.
Yes.
And I'm seeing that now. And
Yeah.
finally, because for me, it's like being a generator, high performer, like kind
Yeah.
of woman, I was out
Yeah.
of touch with a lot
Yeah.
of the female stuff. I was more like masculine, work harder,
Right.
compete with the guys kind of thing. And it took me so many times of different burnout or different illness or
Yeah.
different whatever to just be like, no,
Yeah.
nope, you're out of alignment. So that's 100% your breakthrough. I feel like we're on the same
And
wavelength.
honestly, I'm really excited for you, particularly because women need other women to talk to them and teach them this stuff, because we need more women who feel safe to be in their body and to be in their feminine and build a business from feminine energy, because we're way too overcorrected on the other end.
Yes, we need that balance. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is like pull. Things have to be more restored to balance. We can't keep going like this. Everyone is just burnout,
That
disconnected. And this is why
that's
so much
my
illness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my ulterior motive. Like the whole money thing is a Trojan horse for getting people back into balance with themselves. Because money is the biggest thing that pulls people out of balance.
And it's that have do be. So whenever I see like the business coaches, here's how to make 50K months, here's how to make 100K months. And it gets you, it gets to that fear, that
Yeah,
scarcity of, okay, what's the
yeah,
blueprint?
yeah,
And that 100%, like me coming out of the postpartum,
yeah.
like the postpartum is wild. And
I
so me being in that nervous system, I'm very dysregulated. I was doing a
yeah,
lot of nervous system. I had a
yeah,
nervous system coach and all things because I was like, I know this is where my problem is lying right now.
yeah,
It would grab me like, oh, I should be there. I should be doing these things. And when you were like, don't say the 10K, it's so funny because my girlfriend was like, put 10K, like, because I started an Instagram account. There's 0 followers right
yeah,
now, but I started it. And in the bio, I didn't put any money. I didn't
yeah,
put any of that. I just put freedom-based business, like that
yeah,
kind of thing. She's put 10K months. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm happy to share what I made with my program.
yeah,
I'm happy to do that, but it's
yeah,
exactly what you're saying. It's more so what is the business giving you, the
exactly.
time, all that stuff. And I don't want to attract people in their scarcity,
Yeah,
in their dysregulation, because
yeah,
I think that's what you attract when you go so
totally,
hard on the money.
totally.
So yeah, I'm in total agreement.
Dude, I have a call in two
Yes,
minutes.
thank you for spending
Um,
so much time with me, Ani.
Absolutely.
Would you forego the one-on-one completely and just
Yes,
start the
yes,
community?
yes.
Okay,
You
just
don't
skip
need it.
it.
Yeah, just skip it. You've already put in the hours.
Even if I don't have workshops, like I don't have a beautiful library like you.
No, you create it as you go.
Okay, I love it. Beta.
You're already the expert. You have enough for the first few months just teaching them on the calls.
You're right. Thank you, Ani.
Absolutely. Love you
I'll talk
so
to you soon.
much. Yeah,
Love you.
yeah. Keep me posted. And
Yes. All right,
yo,
Ani. Have a great day. I'll talk
you
to you
too.
soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.